Come dive the Channel Islands with us. We did 3 dives off the island, but I only filmed the last 2 because this was a training day and our first dive was a cave dive, so all of my attention was focused on that. So here we are on our second dive. It was some deep water training and we had some skills at depth, of which I did not record of course, but the water started out super blue up top and as we dove deeper it turned a bit green. Typically the islands have better visibility than our local shore diving sites, and this was no different. Viz was about 30 feet and water temp was 57. It felt extra cold because air temp was in the 30s that morning and there was definitely a wind chill. So after performing our skills, we headed back up the anchor line and saw so many nudibranchs and a jellyfish. Honestly, we were all just stoked on this visibility because our training dives typically consist of little to no viz. After stuffing our faces, hydrating, and trying to warm up even just a tad on our surface interval, we hopped back in the water for our last dive of the day. The third dive was definitely the highlight because it was a fun dive, meaning no training, so we could dive leisurely and kind of do our own thing. We stayed shallow on this dive, but look at that viz! One of my absolute favorite sights is the sunlight beaming through the kelp. It's so magical and beautiful and wow. This site, named Pelican Preserve, is only diveable 2 months out of the year, as it's a state marine reserve to protect the brown pelicans from human activity, so it's really a treat to be able to dive here. Not to mention, pelicans are my favorite animal. During the 2 months that it's open to divers, lobster hunting is also allowed, but it's pretty fished out by now after a couple months into the season. Although I was freezing, this was my longest dive of the day. I just couldn't get enough of the visibility. If you're thinking of diving the Channel Islands, I recommend coming in winter because that usually gives way to the best visibility, but bundle up in a 7mm or a dry suit because it's crisp. Plus, you'll usually see dolphins and whales crossing the Santa Barbara Channel. The Channel Islands are home to a variety of species because of the colder current that comes through. It's even been noted that the channel could be a juvenile white shark nursery. Giant kelp, or Macrocystis pyrifera, can grow up to 2 feet a day. Now, although it can grow incredibly fast, kelp forests are actually an endangered ecosystem due to commercial harvesting and sea urchin predation. The islands are my favorite place in the entire world to dive because of the biodiversity and structure that the kelp provides. So if you get a chance to dive here, take it. But that concludes this boat day, and I will see you guys on the next one. Happy diving.